Hi, I'm Lisa Eddy, your host of the Sacred Beauty Lifestyle Podcast. I'm so glad that you've made your way here and that I'm now sharing these podcasts here on YouTube. In my 25 years in the beauty industry, I have worked with thousands of women. I have witnessed so many beautiful, powerful, smart, and kind women who are hiding instead of shining. My mission is to empower you to own your true power and beauty inside and out, to be truly confident and shine through your skin. Lord knows the world needs your light. I'm committed to helping you understand the choices that you are making that are working for or against you. I'll also be sharing beauty tips and tools your mother never taught you, and together we will bust urban beauty myths. Make sure to subscribe today to receive episodes right when they are released. For those who prefer listening to the audio podcast, head over to sacredbeautylifestyle.com. That's sacredbeautylifestyle.com, and you can find the platform of your choice. Enjoy. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Sacred Beauty Lifestyle Podcast. I am so excited to share Sandy Kruse with you today. Sandy Kruse is a health and lifestyle queen. She is a registered holistic nutritionist, certified in functional lab testing, a certified metabolic balance coach, and a podcaster. Sandy loves sharing how to live an enriched life from midlife onward while embracing a holistic lifestyle. When she is not balancing the demands of parenting her two children, 17 and 21, or managing the home, she can be found walking her little mini Bernedoodle. Welcome, Sandy. I'm so excited to delve into our talk and to share you with the Sacred Beauty Podcast listeners.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I love that you call yourself a health and lifestyle queen.
That's actually kind of a funny story. You're going to laugh when I tell you how that even came about, but it was my husband. He's like, "You don't just do food. You don't just do nutrition. You kind of do it all." And definitely not a princess, because at 52, right? Although I was a little younger when I started this, but yeah, it was more of the queen. Like, let's kick midlife in the butt, right? Lifestyle queen.
That's funny. I love that you shared that your husband helped you formulate this. It sounds from when we had a talk the other day that he perhaps is a good influence on business for you, that you have a nice dialogue around this stuff. Is that right?
He really is, because the facts are I am the creative side and he is the business side. And so he looks at everything from a business perspective, whereas me, I just like to express what I'm trying to express in a creative way.
Yeah, that's interesting because again, that's that balance, the balance of the masculine, feminine, the balance of the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain, our creative and our business. And often it is kind of challenging to have those in balance. Like, what does balance even mean in a way, right? Because sometimes we can go off the Richter on one end and then we come back. And I don't know, I think it'll be fun to delve into that whole piece with you.
Yes, balance for me, Lisa, balance is key to living a really good, enriched, and healthy life.
Yeah, I agree. And when you say that, what does balance mean for you there then? Can you give an example? Because I know that we talked about holistic and, even how holistic carries the word whole in it, right?
Yes.
And you like to have fun. I get fun from you.
Oh, totally, totally. So here's the thing: in this industry, I have come across all different types of practitioners, and I am not shaming anyone for who they are, because for some people it works to be really strict and live a life where it's almost like robotic. Okay, now it's 9 a.m., so I have 15 minutes for meditation. Then I have to go and expose my face into the sun for my circadian rhythms for 15 minutes. Then I've got sauna, infrared sauna, 30 minutes at 160 degrees. You see what I'm saying? So it can be robotic. And for some people, this is why I'm not faulting people for how they live their life, but I feel like this whole holistic health name has gotten to be extremely rigid. And for a lot of people, that rigidity, if that's a word, rigidity does not serve them. And it might serve them for a short period of time. And then in the end, it causes them more stress. And so you're doing the opposite, right? You end up raising that cortisol instead of trying to mitigate the effects of stress on your body, right? So you end up causing more stress in the end. And I have had clients, Lisa, where, you know, I have to custom tailor what I can see will work for them because I see that that rigidity is just causing their eyes to bulge out of their heads and go, "Oh my God, this is not good for me. It's not serving me."
I love that you brought that in because I feel like we have gotten so obsessed with our workouts. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I feel like the last several years, it's how can we kick it up? It's like Pilates on steroids. And I'm like, you know what? I think Pilates was actually good enough.
Yeah. It did enough. We don't need it on steroids. But even still, I see some practitioners talking about at midlife, we need to work harder. We need to work smarter. And it's that whole really masculine, heavy testosterone energy. And right now, I'm 52. I'm going through menopause, I think. But I need some softness in my life. I
Yeah.
need some gentle in my life. So this is why, yes, I work out with a personal trainer. I do that only twice a week, and I focus mostly on weights, and I build my strength. And to me, that kind of slow movement serves me. So, this is what I mean by balance. I'm not saying don't exercise, I'm saying find one that suits you. Like, if there was this one trainer I remembered in the gym that I go to, and I would hear her yelling at the other client, like, "No, give me 5 more." I'm like, I think I would probably run out of there if somebody yelled at me like that because I don't need that right now.
Oh my God, I would too. In the past, I would have yelled back. And, like as an automatic, like, reaction. And because I grew up dancing, and a lot
Yeah.
of times dance instructors can actually be mean and borderline abusive. Like they can insult you and put you down. And I don't do well in that. I want to be supported and
Yes.
loved and like gently nudged and rewarded for moving towards something, right? So I
I
found that, years ago, I had this dance instructor that I would yell. She's Italian. So she's like, and I am too, I'm super passionate. So I would end up yelling back at her because I was like, I felt like I was being attacked. It doesn't serve.
yeah,
And like you said, then that's going to raise the stress. And the point of working out is not only just for our bodies to oxygenate. I shouldn't say just, because there's so many benefits to working out, right? But it's supposed to be an enjoyable process as well, to release stress, not foster it.
agreed. And then, you can even take that all to the science of holistic wellness, right? And you have some practitioners who will be like, "Nope, this study says this, and this." And I'm like, "But guess what? I can find another study that will negate exactly what you just said. So how about we find a balance, right?" So, and that isn't, and then even still, some people, unless in this is in the holistic world, right? Unless it is supported by a study, it's not supported. But you know
Right.
what I mean? Like, and so I'm like, but
Mhm.
wait a minute, where's the spirit, the soul part of holistic? It can't
Yeah.
all be science. And so there comes that balance again. We need to find that side. It's like, pulling all these pieces from all over wellness, if you look at it as a huge piece of pie, and we need to kind of take a little bit from everything on what serves us personally, because we're also bio individual, right? So what works for you might not work for me. So let's figure out what works for you as an individual.
100%. And that is where the listening comes in. And I think that goes back to what you said earlier, too, about wanting to be softer, wanting to embrace your feminine, the intuition, embodying your soul. We're way much more than our logical minds. Like we go way beyond that. And you know what
Yes.
I think is really beautiful today is people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, for example, really out there teaching quantum physics, where it's like mysticism meets science. And so we're getting to see the actual benefits of meditation or what our
Yes.
body is capable of creating. I was just at a workshop with him. Oh my God.
That's amazing. I love
Like,
him and I love his works, Lisa. Like,
mm,
you can't see, I'm also in this whole world of biohacking, and you've got different types of biohackers. And really, the term biohacker, if you look at where it came from, I think Dave Asprey is the one who created and coined the term. But to me, biohacking is simply taking control of my best health. But how I do that and how I choose to do that is through living a balanced lifestyle overall. But then you go and speak to some biohackers and they're like, I won't do this, I won't eat this, I won't have this, I take this supplement at this time, I do that. And again, it's that rigidity, right?
I think that's because people, I'm just throwing this out there in general, have felt so little control over their lives these days that and there's so much unhealed trauma in the world that when we don't heal our trauma or our wounds, whatever you want to call them. I know trauma can be such a buzzword these days, but we all have
Yeah.
wounds we carry forward. When those are not healed, people try to control their environment so much to feel the safety that they want to feel. And I feel like we're seeing that on a grand scale of people really trying to control so much. Do you know the film or book? I think it was a book first, also, is The Wisdom of Trauma with Gabor Mate.
No. I've heard of Gabor Mate, yes, but I haven't seen that or read that.
I cannot recommend it highly enough. I'll have this in the show notes for you guys listening right now, as well as everything, all the resources we're talking about. It is, I think you can pay for to watch the film like $7 and some odd change in US dollars. It's the wisdomoftrauma.com. And he speaks to like addiction and, different, you just get this deeper understanding of how they end up from this unhealed trauma, and it's prevalent. I think that it should be a required film in schools and for anyone dealing with clients, because I'm sure you probably see sometimes people that are really like highly charged when you're working with them in a state like you were saying that, so some like how do we how do we manage that and help them?
I actually was just referencing this book. I bought this giant book. It's like, honestly, 3 inches thick, and it's a hardcover. I lugged it back with me from Sedona in August when I was there, and it's called Messages from the Body. And the reason I brought it back is because they didn't sell it in Canada anywhere, like not even on Amazon. I'm like, I need this book. And I brought it back, and I forget, his name is Michael. Oh gosh, he was a psychiatrist, I believe, and
Mm-hmm.
this is all his works. He worked in mental institutions long ago, and he created an anthology with all of his patients on how certain physical ailments equated to other internal issues they were having. So, somebody, for example, I had thyroid cancer. It's hard to explain this, but I had thyroid cancer, And a lot of that equation is not feeling like I could speak my truth, right? And blockages in the chakras. He doesn't speak to it as in chakras, but
Yeah.
I believe that when we address certain issues internally, we can heal ourselves externally.
100%. I looked up the author so we could share it, and
Yes.
it is Michael Lincoln.
Yes.
Is that the author? Okay, great. And so again, we'll have that in the show notes for you all. I
It's an
love
unbelievable book, Lisa. Oh my gosh. Like I'm sitting there on my flight back because I had to bring my carry-on and it's so heavy, but but then I'll feel like if I met somebody who, let's say, had Crohn's disease, I would look up Crohn's. And then you get that kind of internal aspect of what may tie in with their Crohn's disease.
right. I love that you shared that. Thank you. Because for every ailment, there absolutely is an emotional component and how it manifests. And that's what I was trying to say about Dr. Joe Dispenza and the healing there too, is when we meditate, right? Part of the lifestyle of wellness, when we meditate, we actually create our own pharmacology of drugs. We actually create Valium. We create Oxycontin. We have our own pharmacology for healing inside. So
Mm-hmm.
fascinating.
Yeah, I do have to say though, for some people, meditation is really hard. I don't know how you are, Lisa. Like, I started meditating 5 years ago. Have you ever heard of a Muse meditation headband? The Muse, Muse.
No, no.
So you're gonna laugh. I tend to be like, I'm like, am I meditating? Am I not meditating? I want to know, am I meditating? And I guess this is part of being a biohacker, right? I needed to know, am I in that state or not? And so I actually bought this Muse meditation headband, and it tells you how much time are you spending in GABA, how much time, like, sorry, theta, delta, all of the brain waves, not GABA. What it does is it creates GABA when you are in a
Mm-hmm.
meditative state, right? So I bought that. And then just in March, I started using a new calm, which actually puts your brain into that state. You don't have to wait. It's like, well, you do, you wait about 5 minutes, but I have found that so powerful for just visualizations and creativity. And so meditation, however you can get it, is probably one of the most beneficial practices that you can do to help you live that balanced, holistic
I love that
life.
you said that. I could not be in agreement more. And it's again, it's a part of the lifestyle and it's something we all have access to. And it doesn't matter in how you do it. And I love the biohacker in you that you're like, I need to see the data. Like I'll tell you what I did learn and then we'll move on because I want to hear more about you and share with our guests. Like, yeah, so hold on. I'll just say quickly that what Dr. Joe measures the data before starting an event with certain people who are participating in a study and then measures the data after, during meditation, all of this, right? And have seen time and time again, just FYI for you listeners out there that have the same question, like, am I meditating? Is this doing anything? Am I doing this wrong? Even when people thought they were doing it wrong, they were still getting the benefits of the meditation. So
Yeah.
it really shared, it really solidified that we don't need to judge our meditations. You're getting the benefit, just do it. Did you find that as well from your tool that measured it?
Yeah, well, what it does say is that if you can get your brain in a calm state,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
for 5 minutes every day, you are doing good. You are doing
Yeah.
good for the brain. So, like sometimes, listen, sometimes we just have monkey brain. Like it it happens when we have a lot going on in our lives, and there's a lot of different things that we can do to take that down, right? Like we can get into that if you wanted to, Lisa. I don't know where you want to go, but there's a
I
lot we
just want
can
to
do.
Yeah, I want to pull the thread on you a little bit. Like maybe you can answer some questions because you had shared that you're certified, registered, holistic nutritionist, but also you do functional lab testing and you're a metabolic coach. I wonder if you could start by sharing a little bit about this for our listeners to
Sure.
understand what this means.
Sure. Registered holistic nutritionist. It is a college diploma, and it is from the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition. It's a very highly accredited program. And that was my first, I guess, delve into going back to school. I was 46. And I did that after having thyroid cancer at 41. My daughter at 5 had cancer the year before me. And so all of that kind of threw me into this. I have to take more control over my family's wellness. Why did this happen? Maybe I'll get some answers. And then I got into the spiritual side of it. But that was my diploma. And then I decided, so I technically cannot do any lab testing. We do not cure, diagnose, heal disease as holistic health practitioners, but I am certified. So a lot of people now want to go and order their own tests because they can't get their general physician to do the testing that they want. So this is why I got certified, because I can look at something like the Dutch test, which is my favorite hormone test of all, and I understand it, and I've been certified to be able to look at it and assess it. So that is my certification there. And then more recently, it was in the summer, I did 30 hours of training online with a physician who created the program, Metabolic Balance. There's a lot of these metabolic programs out there, but this is the only one that utilizes blood work to provide you with a plan to help, of course, lose weight, but really to address those symptoms of metabolic syndrome, which is more like high blood pressure, poor waist to hip ratio, a larger expanding waist in women over 35 inches, in men over 40 inches, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. These are all symptoms of metabolic syndrome, as well as improper glucose metabolism or insulin resistance. And again, it's not to cure or diagnose or heal those issues, but it's to address the symptoms. So there you go.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I love that you can read the lab work and that does empower individuals to get some of the testing that they need to be guided in a holistic way. Because I think one of the ways in Western America, we have this big gap in our wellness or in our sickness system. That's what I usually call it.
Yeah,
In our
yeah.
medical system, is that we often aren't heard. We often can't get the testing that we need. I'm usually having to like plead to my doctor. I was just emailing her, because I like to go get my labs from my medical route, but I don't take Western medicine treatment most of the time. Then I'll take that to my my holistic practitioner. So I love that you shared that and you have the ability. I think this is a really helpful.
Yeah, and the thing I love about especially the United States, they have like Everly Well, and in Canada we have bloodtestcanada.com, where you can really feel empowered to go and say, okay, well, I can't get the tests that I need, so I'm going to just go and get the tests that I need.
Take it into my own hands. I love it.
Take it into my own hands.
And I wonder, so you did share a little bit about how you got into this holistic lifestyle. It sounds like through your own tragedy and health trauma for both you and your daughter. And so are you both like healed and living healthy lives now?
Yeah, totally. I mean, my daughter is 17. We had been, this will be her last year at the Toronto Hospital for Sick Children, which she's been going to since she was 5. So they just do an annual checkup. First 5 years, it was MRIs regularly. but 2 surgeries. So, but she's thriving and she's doing amazing. And myself, I am healthier now at 52, going through menopause. And you hear so many stories. And that's the other thing. It's like, let's just say if you have a lot of symptoms, it is not normal, people. It's not normal to have a horrible menopause. It is common, but not normal. So I'm 52, going through it, and I'm going through it without a thyroid because I had my thyroid and a couple of lymph nodes completely removed. So some would say, holy crap, that's got to be not easy, but so far it's not hard. But I'm on top of it, Lisa.
Yeah. Okay, so that is such inspiration for our listeners who either have someone who has gone through cancer or they themselves have, or maybe going through it right now, to know that you can come out on top, that you can take a holistic approach and we can heal. And I think that goes back to what you shared earlier too, like addressing the spiritual piece, addressing the emotional piece. That's part of the balance I'm hearing you speak about, which I am 100% in alignment with. And I
Mhm.
love that you shared to pay attention to your symptoms, because our
Totally.
doctors, I think, will sometimes normalize them because they are common or prevalent, but that doesn't mean it has to be that way. That doesn't mean it's normal. I agree with you. I also think that we're misguided when it comes to our menstrual cycles. We're taught, that cramps are normal, and these, different things that we go through, and that's not really normal either. I had a bad period when I was a little girl, and I grew up in a really stressful home. I was under so much stress all the time. As I became an adult and healed myself and took really good care of myself, and I was always working out and etc., I balanced that out, and I didn't have the cramps anymore, and I didn't have, really cramps period, or even signs that I was getting my period. And I still knew a lot of women, girlfriends around me the whole time that would have these intense reactions, or they'd have to call in sick to work, or, and so pay
Yes.
attention. It's an indicator, right?
Yes. It's totally an indicator that something is out of balance, right?
That goes back to the book. Yeah. And here we go back to balance, which is what we're all striving for. And I know it's that word can be a little bit challenging, but if we take a softer approach to the word balance, it's like just the pieces of the joy, the pieces of the rest and solitude, the pieces of nature, of laughter, of work, of, doing our chores too, like, and finding joy in that and the things that we have to do.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And it also goes back to what you shared. I'm just going to say this quickly and then I'll give you the mic back. But you also shared about the book, about the messages in the body,
Yes.
listening, right?
100%. And really, if we, and it all goes back to the whole listening to what your body is saying to you. And sometimes it gets cloudy. Let's face facts. Like when we are living in a really busy world, if you're a mom to kids or dogs, or if you're if you have a spouse, a busy world, if you're a support person. I was a support mom for a long, long time, where I was home alone with the kids because I had a husband who traveled weekly. So all of these things can sometimes cloud what your body's actually saying to you. And honestly, something that I've started more recently, so I am actually an English literature graduate. So my background is writing. So of course I'm going to say journal. But people are like, well, I don't like to write. But what about this? What about if you woke up every morning, didn't check your phone, didn't check your emails, didn't do everything, sat down at the table with a cup of coffee and just let words fall to paper? So whatever's the first thing that comes, and this is not my creation, it's called Morning Pages. And it is literally, you don't have to be a writer for that. You can just allow your brain to not interfere with what's coming out first thing in the morning. And to me, that can be like a sign of which direction my day is going to go. And that could be like, okay, I need to work on a little bit of me time. Or wait a second, why am I even mentioning that my elbow's sore this morning? Huh? Like, what's going on there? So this is a way for you to kind of tap into what those symptoms might be or what you're actually feeling.
I love that you brought in journaling. I am a huge proponent. I feel like when you put the pen to paper, it's like ask and you shall receive. Like the infinite wisdom just runs right through you. And especially, I mean, anytime, don't get me wrong, journal whenever you can. But there is something precious about the morning, which is why this, I think it's the
Yes.
artist's way that I can't remember her name right now, taught the practice of morning pages. We're
So you know
more
about
Oh yeah. This
very
I'm a
cool.
lifer. I'm a lifer in wellness
I
and
love it.
life holistic ways, all the ways. So thank you for bringing that in. What I was going to say was there's really something precious about that time when in the morning when we first wake up where we're kind of lucid, we're still connected to our higher self, the ethers, the all that is, whatever you want to call it, right? Source, God, whatever you want to call it. You have easier access. So yes, thank you, Sandy. Great. And don't get in your own way. Just let it flow. No one's judging it. So stop judging yourself if that's what you're doing.
Yeah. But, even still, like this is taking more, on a spirit side, but you can say, even start with a question like, what does my soul tell me today? What is my soul saying to me this morning? And, that might work for somebody to get them to start writing, right?
That is a great pointer. Thank you for bringing in a prompt as a tip because and they could even have a few prompts that they start with because sometimes there are people like me when I'm learning something I do want hand holding. I'm like I want to know the parameters before I then come up with my own way or
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people listening might feel the same way. So thank you.
Yeah.
And then our creatives are just like I got this, I'm at it, right? And they'll just write, which is great as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
I love so much of what you have shared today, and I love the tips that you just brought in. And you are absolutely a plethora of information and a joy to hang out with and share with. Thank you. I wonder if you have a message that you would go back and tell your 20-year-old self. Like, is there something that you wish that you knew that you would whisper in her ear right now to guide her on her journey?
Mm. This, it's so funny because I've been asked this question before and I've said, I would say nothing. And the reason I would say nothing is no matter what I'm going to say to you, you're going to have your own story and your own journey and your own lessons. So if I tell you that, it's not necessarily going to sink in when you're 20.
It's
So
not comforting.
because the fact of the matter is that if somebody told me some of the things that, from my perspective when I was 20, I wasn't in the mindset to listen. How about that? And I
I
wasn't in
hear
the
you.
mindset to take advice, although not everybody's the same, right? Some do. I feel like my son is really, really wise for his age. So it depends on the receptiveness.
Yeah.
So I
So
do feel everybody's got to go through their thing without necessarily, I don't really have advice because it depends. Like your story is going to be different than my story.
totally. I was just curious if there's something that you would want her to know, but it sounds like it's you know that things are all going to be okay and you don't want to interfere with the process. Like it's all a process. You're
Yeah.
on this journey and you're going to be fine and
Right. Right.
and let it unfold. So is there a big message that if we gave you a megaphone and a mountaintop that we would have a hard time pulling you down from because you're like wanting the whole world to know this message? What would you have on repeat?
Ooh, I actually have a few things that I would have on repeat. Number one, if your body is consistently giving you symptoms, don't ignore them. That's number one. Number two, I feel that we are on a mission right now on this planet to change the narrative of aging. I feel like there was a time in the last, 20 years where growing old or growing older has become so negative. But I'm here to say we can live a really happy, enriched, healthy, vibrant life until the day we leave this earth, girlfriend, right? Because the
Yes.
yeah, because the fact of the matter is when you do pay attention to those symptoms, you can address illness before it becomes illness,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Thank you. That is absolutely brilliant. That is absolutely one of my favorite answers that anyone has ever given. I freaking love it. Thank you. I know you have a podcast and we shared that, but we didn't share the name. I believe it's Sandy K Health and Lifestyle Queen
It's
podcast.
it's Sandy K Nutrition. I still have the nutrition in there. Sandy K Nutrition, Health and Lifestyle Queen. And yes, it's
Love it.
available on any platform where you listen to podcasts, but it's kind of all things wellness. So you've got spirit, soul, you got the science, you got the biohacking, you got the aging well, you got kind of all the pieces to really live a vibrant and enriched life and age better.
I love it. I don't believe in aging. Many of my listeners know this. I don't believe in aging the way we're taught. So you are a perfect guest here. Thank you for everything you have shared. We'll have all of your info in the show notes so that our guests can find you. Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
time and your wisdom today.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having me. We just really connect. I think we're very aligned.
100%. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Lisa.
I'm Lisa Eddy, your host of the Sacred Beauty Lifestyle Podcast, which is now being shared here on YouTube. I hope this episode brought you insights and inspiration to radiate and shine with confidence. Remember to subscribe so you receive new episodes hot off the press right when they are released. And follow me on Instagram for more juicy tips at I am Lisa Eddy. Also, ladies and gentlemen, when you subscribe, like, and share these episodes, it helps me to get seen by more people. And that means a lot to me because I am committed to reaching millions of women across the globe and waking them up to the sacred beauty lifestyle, owning their true power and beauty, both inside and out. Now more than ever, we need more women shining instead of hiding. When we band together, we are unstoppable. This is how we change the world together. Remember the sacred beauty lifestyle and get on out there and shine. The world needs your light.